Hello, welcome. My name's Alicia and I'm trying to get comfortable. Okay, look, I have wanted to start a YouTube channel for so long and it was one of my big goals last year and I didn't do it, clearly. I have this thing where I tell myself that I can't do something because I'm not good enough, I don't have all the things, and to be honest with you, I felt like I needed the nicest studio space and the best camera and all these things in order to have a successful YouTube channel and be a creator, and you don't need all those things. They're kind of just excuses, and I can't get better at making YouTube content or any content for that matter without trying and building on those skills. So welcome. This is my spare room. It is also where I run my business. It is also my partner's gaming room. It is also currently the laundry. Welcome, I'm Alicia. I wanted to come on here as my first video and kind of introduce myself. I am 29 years old. I know that might seem a bit old to a lot of you, but it means I have lots of wisdom to share. I live in Sydney with my partner. We live in this small ground floor apartment that gets no natural light and is our home, and I love it. I have been with my current partner now for 2.5 years. Last year I quit my job and I went traveling for 6 months around Europe. I did 6 or 7 weeks with my best friend, did a few weeks on my own in London and in Vienna, and then I did basically 3 months with my partner traveling, and it was the best experience I've ever had. Every country, every city is so different in terms of culture, food, architecture, everything, and to be surrounded by that and just in awe every day at the things you're seeing and the things that you're actually doing is wild. Do as much travel as you possibly can. It changes your life and it changes you so much, because it just makes you realize how much you have and how grateful you are for the things that you have and the opportunities that you're getting to go to these places that you've probably seen in movies or you've seen on vlogs or whatever it is. It is wild. I come from 2 big families. I'm Maori, Dutch and Vietnamese. Mum's Maori and Dutch, dad's Vietnamese. So I'm a very big mix of cultures, and I love that so much about myself because I feel like I can see so much of myself everywhere that I look, whether it be in food, whether it be in people, whether it be in song, dance, all of it. And culture is something that I'm so passionate about and that I'm trying really hard this year to embrace. I've always felt so much shame around, one, being Asian, one, not knowing that much about my Maori culture, and I feel like there's nothing to be ashamed about. I didn't grow up surrounded by that culture 24/7, but it's something that is a part of me, something that I love about myself. In saying that, I do have a very complicated family relationships, and I think that's pretty normal. I'm finding out as I get older, no one has a perfect family and we just deal with what we've got, and it doesn't mean you love your family any less. You love them just as much, but sometimes you just need a bit of space. Originally at uni I studied a Bachelor of Science and Urban and Environmental Town Planning. I majored in Environmental Science and Marine Biology. I sound like I'm doing a job interview. Worked as a town planner for about a year or 2. Lost my job during COVID, but also realised once I left the job that I actually didn't like it. I hated being at a desk and writing reports all day, and it just wasn't what I envisioned for myself. So during COVID I didn't have a job and I started a blog, basically, which is Everyday Connection, and started it just interviewing my friends and asking them questions that I wouldn't normally ask them, like, what are you passionate about, what does a day in your life look like, and how did you get into the job that you're doing, and what does that actually mean? Because how many of us know, okay, my friend's a graphic designer, but what does her day-to-day actually look like? What does she actually do? We don't actually know these things. And from there it kind of just grew, and it was really cool to see the connections people were making. I interviewed a girl that I know and she was an interior designer, and then this other girl that I knew, she was like, oh my god, I really want to get into interior design, do you think I can message her? And I was like, absolutely. I'm sure she would love to chat with you, and she's super passionate about what she does, so she's the perfect person. And it just built all these like connections all over, and it was such a beautiful thing to start. And never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that and I would be a content creator, but here I am. So why I started that page, it was obviously because it was during COVID and I needed something to do to keep myself busy and feel like I had a purpose. But also I, you know, struggled a lot with anxiety and depression in the past, and something that I still like struggle with time to time depending on what's going on in my life, but not to the extent that I have in the past. And there were times where I was having panic attacks every day. I felt really depressed. I isolated myself, but because of what I went through, and no, not everything happens for a reason, and I don't really like saying that all the time, but anyway, what I was saying was, I know that everything that I went through during those times where I really struggled, and I'll talk about this a lot more in another video, but I know that what I went through led me to be here and led me to have a voice and to be able to talk about the things that I'm so incredibly passionate about. And I just want people to know that they're not alone, because I think that's the biggest thing with mental health. When you're going through it, you feel so alone and you feel like such a burden, and you feel like there's no one else in the world that feels the way that you do. But in reality, there are millions of people in the world that feel exactly the way you do, and not that that makes it any easier, but I think knowing that you're not alone in your journey and knowing that what you're going through isn't something that only you are experiencing, I think there's such power in that, because we are innately social creatures, and when we isolate ourselves and when we feel like we're the only ones, it is when our brain fully shuts down, and it's really hard to claw our way back out of that. So I just want, my purpose here is, I just want you to see a normal person, a normal person who's struggled a lot with mental health, a normal person who has a very complicated family life, a normal person who is in their 20s and has no idea what the fuck they're doing. I've changed careers so many times. I was a town planner, then I was a teacher, and now I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm making content. And I just want you to know that your journey is completely yours. No one else can take that away from you, and no one can tell you your journey is wrong. So I want you to feel safe, and I want you to feel less alone, and I want you to know that no matter what you're going through, you're on time for your life. I am super passionate about training, going to the gym purely for your mental health. And I say this because I am someone who grew up with so much shame around my body. Oh, pardon me. So much shame around my body, and I always felt like I had to be smaller in order to be more beautiful, and more, in order for people to love me more. And so I've struggled since I was 8 years old with my body image and my size and the way that I am, and it's only taken me to the last 2 years maybe to where I can fully love and accept myself the way that I am, and I'm not focusing on the need to be smaller, because being smaller doesn't mean that you're a more interesting person. It doesn't mean that people love you more. It doesn't mean that you're a better friend. Like, it has nothing to do with your worth, and it is the least interesting thing about you, your weight. I love training, and I love training purely because it saved my life. If I didn't go to the gym and I didn't train, I don't know if I'd be here today. And I am so grateful that I found the gym, because it made me feel strong and it made me feel capable, and it's up to me on how hard I push myself. And so I will go to the gym every day, and if I don't, I feel like anxious and chaotic, and like my brain's had no time to just like sit. I don't need to shrink myself. I'm quite comfortable in who I am, and I have very bad days sometimes still, absolutely. I'm working on changing that, and every day gets a little easier. So I just want to come on here and introduce myself, and let you see a little bit into my world and who I am, and that you can do anything, really. I would love if you liked and subscribed this video. It would mean the absolute world to me, because starting out is really scary, and I've put this off for so long because I wanted it to be perfect. But in wanting it to be perfect, it just means that I'm not trying and I'm making excuses for myself. So I'd love for you to join me here, and let's see where we go.